49ers, they suffered their first loss on the road against the Browns. And the biggest news on this one is not Christian McCaffrey's stat line, which was only 11 carries for 43 yards, 3 catches for 9 yards, and he did have a touchdown. But he left the game early with the oblique injury and did not return. Kyle Shanahan, after the game, did not know the severity of this injury, Matthew.
Why can't we have nice things? Why can't we have nice things, Connor Rogers?
Every fantasy star this year.
Why can't we have
Tirico better watch out.
Yeah,
I know. He's the only guy, and he was cramping as well.
Him and Chase, the 2 first-rounders, where you're like, oh.
All right. So as of this taping, we don't know what their schedule is, right? Oh, so we don't know the severity of the injury. He could be fine, he could be not. Adding to the concern here is that their game next week is Minnesota. It's the Monday night game. So, which is on the one hand, it's positive. Oh, good, there's an extra day for McCaffrey to get right. But it's also like for fantasy managers, like just so you know, you're going to have to go into Sunday morning making lineup decisions, a week in which there are 6 teams on a bye. We are entering into Bye-Mageddon, just so you guys know, right? You probably haven't, you're still wrapping your head around week 6, so you haven't started thinking about week 7. But week 7 is Bye-Mageddon. 6 teams are on a bye, and then you've got all these injured guys, and so you're going to have to make decisions. So we will talk more about this tomorrow. Hopefully we'll have more clarity on McCaffrey's injury when we do the waiver wire show tomorrow, and we'll talk about this. But I'll just say that Jordan Mason played well. It was Elijah Mitchell's first game back. My expectation is it would be a bit of a committee. I don't think either one gets the full CMC workload here. But the other part of it here is that I would say, like, well, if CMC is out, I think you'll see some Jordan Mason, you'll see some Elijah Mitchell, and you'll see some Deebo Samuel, Jay. But then Deebo Samuel also gets hurt in this game.
Yeah, and that seemed a little bit more concerning because at least McCaffrey got hurt and then he came back in, tried to give it a go, clearly didn't feel right, and then he was done for the rest of the game. Samuel was ruled out with the shoulder injury. It didn't look too severe, and I think the reporting has been that it's not expected to be too bad. But what I would worry about with these 2 guys for fantasy purposes is that the Niners, they play the Vikings, then it's Cincinnati, and then they have their bye week. So if they want to give these guys 2 weeks, I think the Eagles losing yesterday was also gives the Niners a bit more wiggle room. They're the clear favorites to get the 1 seed. Also, don't really understand why they had CMC on track for 400 carries in this offense, and that's what he was doing. So I would expect that probably not going to see these guys on Monday night, but it's a wait and see. There's no clarity yet.
Yeah.
Jay, maybe the worst game we've seen from Brock Purdy in this one, 12-27, 125 yards and 1 touchdown and an interception. He had 3 carries for 7 yards. I mean, this is what Jim Schwartz's Browns defense is going to do to a lot of quarterbacks, and it felt like it was magnified with the loss of Deebo and CMC in this game for Brock Purdy.
Yeah, look, there's no bigger Brock Purdy supporter than I, trying to ride the 25-1 MVP ticket home, but Purdy was terrible yesterday, and I thought the stat line flattered him, and the stat line was terrible. He could have had 4 picks yesterday, and the irony is that the narrative would have been, had Jake Moody made that 41-yarder, that Purdy led them down the field. Purdy threw a pick on the first play of the drive and just wasn't caught. He was not good yesterday. It felt like just with the conditions, with the wind and the rain, he couldn't grip the ball for a time in the second quarter. It just wasn't happening, and the Browns have the best defense in the league, perhaps by margin. I think that's the key thing, is that Deebo going out, CMC going out, Trent Williams also came out.
Yes,
and the fact
he came back in at least, but right. I mean, that's the thing. In fairness to Brock Purdy, right? You're on the road against one of, if not the best defense in the NFL. You lose your starting left tackle. You lose your best running back. You lose one of your key wide receivers as well. It's windy. It's cold. I'm not ready to bail on Brock Purdy for one bad game.
He'll be fine. And also, he just had the best game of his career like 8 days ago. Yeah. So he will be fine. I think the Deebo going out really shook up their offense in a weird way, because just the way that he runs across the formation, they tried to use Ray McCloud, and then Ray McCloud was running the wrong direction across the formation.
It looked like a disaster.
It's a bit of a mess.
Yeah, Ray McCloud, he was kind of thrusted into the Deebo role, and there's one Deebo Samuel. So
yeah, I mean, this offense without I will say this. This would help your if Deebo and McCaffrey both miss Monday night against the Vikings, and Brock Purdy goes out, plays well, and they beat Minnesota, which I think they can easily do, and Brock Purdy plays well with, a full week and a day to get ready for that. I think that actually helps Purdy's MVP argument, because he'll have done it without the 2 big stars, because that's always the anti-Purdy argument is like, well, anyone could do it if they had all those stars and that coach.
Yeah. I'm off Purdy. I'm on to Mahomes MVP now.
There we go. Wow. Really?
Have you considered Sam Howell?
I considered him, and I put him in the bin.
Right.
It's
there
Patrick
you go.
Mahomes.
You're still
plus
on Patrick
450.
Mahomes. All right, fair enough.
On the Browns side, P.J. Walker had to start this game with Deshaun Watson hurt. Not the prettiest stat line, 18 to 32, 192 yards and 2 touchdowns. But more importantly, Jay, he keeps Amari Cooper afloat in fantasy. Amari Cooper catches 4 of his 8 targets, most importantly for 108 yards.
Yeah, incredible 58-yard reception from Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper just remains the most underrated player in the NFL.
He might be.
I feel like no one ever gives him any love. Also thought it was interesting that Jerome Ford was able to have a really solid day, 17 for 84, even though the Niners were loading up their defense. Look, P.J. Walker, I don't think anyone's ready to move on from Deshaun Watson after P.J. Walker, who tried to give the game away on the drive where the Browns ultimately won it. And it was funny because after he threw the ball on 2nd down, Kevin Stefanski was like, all right, not only do you not get to do anything on 3rd down, no one gets to do anything. Kareem Hunt, you run slowly up the middle and get tackled.
Yep.
This is effectively a kneel. You're not allowed to run left or right, just straight up the middle. But I think that Ford and Cooper having good days was a great sign for them.
I mean,
going
Ford
forward.
got 19 touches in this game. Kareem Hunt got 15. I mean, they tried to hide P.J. Walker. I mean, so just volume there. So Kareem Hunt, sort of interesting here. He also gets the rushing touchdown as well. But to your point, this was as good a game as we've seen from Jerome Ford since he became the starter. So that worked out well. Didn't expect this, obviously. So, yeah, the Browns as a whole, like, give credit where credit is due. Like, Stefanski and Jim Schwartz coached him up. They came out to play. They produced. Amari Cooper gets locked in as a top 20 wide receiver. Look, he's had a 24% target share in 4 to 5 games this year. And remember, he's had games with Watson, DTR, and now P.J. Walker. He seems to be quarterback proof.
Yep. Browns win that division. They're plus 265 on DraftKings. They got the easiest schedule of anyone. I think they will win that division.
Yeah, it feels like the other teams, too, just aren't right in a lot of ways, even when they win.
Yeah, we'll get to the Bengals at some point, but they don't look great.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.